Let's talk about the multiplicative property of equality with decimals. We've seen the multiplicative property of equality before. It looks something like this. We have maybe something like 3 times x equals 6, and we have to find out what number times 3 equals 6. Well, we already know that 3 times 2 equals 6, but let's suppose these were a little bit harder numbers. We can apply the multiplicative property. The multiplicative property just says that I can multiply by anything I want to, as long as I do it on both sides of an equal sign and keep things balanced and equal. In this case, dividing and multiplying are very, very close relatives. Remember that dividing is multiplying by the reciprocal. And so what I like to do, I'm just going to show you what I like to do when I see these problems. I like to undo times by dividing. And here's what I mean by that. I can divide by 3 here. And what happens is I have 3 over 3, and those cancel to just be 1. And then I will get x all by itself, because x, any letter that we have is really 1 times that letter, and that means it's just that letter, right? So then I will know what x equals if only I can have what's on this side over here. But there's a rule. I have to keep things equal that are equal, right? Equal means equal. And if I divide by 3 over here, the left side suddenly becomes smaller, weaker, less something, if you think about it as a balanced scale. So whatever I do on the left, I have to do it on the right. So if I divide both sides by 3, then that keeps things all balanced. So on the right, I have 6 divided by 3, which is 2. And then I just know that x equals 2. And remember in the beginning, we said 3 times 2 equals 6. And so that works. So the multiplicative property of equality, you might have said this is the division property of equality. We do say that sometimes. The reason you can call this the multiplicative property of equality is because I could have multiplied by 1/3. Notice that multiplying by 1/3 is really the same as dividing by 3, because I'm going to multiply the 1 times the 3 on the top, and then I'll have the 3 on the bottom, and then the 3's will cancel. And it's really the same thing. I like to keep things simple by, just erase this, and we'll talk about the actual problem that's here. I like to keep things simple by kind of doing this the same way every time. So 4 times u equals 25.6. I'm just going to make that a little bigger for myself here. We don't really care about the decimals. It's really no big deal. If the little icons on the side that I can't see in this demo problem, if they have a little calculator, you can use that. Otherwise, it means do it by hand, no problem. If I want to undo 4 times u, I can always undo times by dividing. I always show dividing by drawing a line underneath and putting the number underneath. That way I can see that those guys cancel out, and I'm going to have u all by itself. Can't do it on the left unless I do it on the right, so I'm going to do it on the right. And then so I'm going to have u equals 25.6 over 4. So I could, if I don't have a calculator, do a little bit of dividing here. I'm running out of room because I didn't erase all of that. And 4 goes into 25 6 times, because 4 times 6 is 24. I'm going to subtract, bring down the 6, keep that decimal. 4 goes into 16 4 times, and my answer is going to be 6.4. So you just got a little bit of multiplicative property of equality, or division property of equality, and a little review of how to divide when you're using a decimal. So hopefully you've done that before, and if you need a little more help with that, let me know.